what do you see? What does this mean?
It's really just about, it's the Venn diagram. So I would say an individualist or collective society we can see here, just like we can see two individuals and their relationship.
But what happens here in a place like Korea is this part in the center gets a little stronger. And whereas in our country, this part still gets a little weaker, and then actually the rings push apart. And so, what is an example of this? So you say, I saw this the first time when on a Sunday we went to Mart and it was closed. And I said, how's it closed? This was a couple years ago. I said, this is crazy. And I said, when your large stores, your large entities will close down a couple days every month. Wow, yeah, this really is important, which is the Distribution Industry Development Act.
맞아. Yes.
So that the small stores, the small establishments don't get put out of business.
That's amazing.
The store Costco or Walmart or these big stores. If you told average Americans that twice a month, all of those stores were going to close on a Sunday, Americans would have a revolution.
No.
And even
you think they would have a revolution?
I think it would be close.
상상할 수 없는 행동이구나.
You will sacrifice your own individual needs for the greater good of society. We do it as well in the United States. We do these kinds of things, but you do it much more often. Here's, this is examples, right? This is here in Korea. There's a spill on the roadway and people are coming to pick it up. Now this happens in the United States, of a truck that turns over and people jumping out of their cars and taking everything and running away with it. Now, you're also going to have examples of this, but you have many more examples of the other thing. How often has it happened that there's a truck spill and Koreans all come and they steal everything and they run away with it? Here's the thing. This collectivism doesn't come from nowhere. It has to come from the fact that people need other people. So therefore, we see that this communitarianism here, it comes from somewhere.
nunchi.
It's like nunchi is a thing that is, I remember when Kim Mi-young, MK, came to my class many years ago and I just asked her this question, hey, explain nunchi to my class. And she explained it, but it's very complicated. But nunchi is something that we've discovered and we really like. And maybe one of the biggest reasons we keep coming back to Korea is because we're trying to understand nunchi.
It's so true.
We were at a meal with
just a high-level person.
A high-level person in Korea. We would actually three high-level people. One was a friend of ours, and we were invited to this meal. And Lori and I were sitting together on this side, someone here, and then someone here. And I felt like Lori was not practicing high.
I'm not Korean.
She was not working with nunchi, okay? Lori was being Lori.
I was working with what is my social intelligence in US, right? Which is like trying to understand how to break the ice with people, how to get them to speak more about themselves personally.
You were talking pretty loudly and fast, which is what you do. You're from New Jersey.
저 우리나라 사람이 아니니까.
This is bad nunchi. And so tried to kind of kick her under the table, but she didn't understand. So I was like, okay, so then I practiced bad nunchi because I took our friend here later the next day and I said, hey.
And all three of us were together.
We were together. I said, hey, can you just be honest with us? At that meal yesterday, I have the idea that Lori was exhibiting very kind of low levels of nunchi. She's our friend. What's she gonna say? But I put her in a very bad position because, yeah, Lori was not using good nunchi. Then she has to lie and say, no, it was fine.
But she's saying something that will be hurting, disrespectful maybe?
They would hurt her and hurt the relationship. And so then I'm practicing bad nunchi, right? But yesterday we were in a van and in the United States, so I'm more of an elder, right? I'm old, okay? So people who are under me, who have less power, I want them to feel equal to me, because that's what we do in the United States. So in the van, I climbed to the very back seats of the van. I said, no, I will sit back here. The younger people were saying, no, you can't sit back there. You have to sit up here. And I want to show them, no, you're equal to me. I value you. Really, I will sit in this seat. But then I realized they're uncomfortable because I'm back there. So my nunchi kicked in and I said, no. Go sit in the front seat. And so then the next time we got in the van, I sat in the front seat.
And it's still hard to know.
Yeah, we never know.
It's hard to ask those questions.
But it's part of the magic of Korea. Like in the US, like you have one word, nunchi. We don't have a word. So, it's so complicated.
4명의 사람이 있는데요. 5개의 초콜릿이 있습니다. 마지막 남은 하나는 주인이 누구죠? 마지막 남은 하나는
벌써 불편해.
다 배고파. 똑같아. 기본값은 똑같아. 다 배고프고 나이도 똑같고 성별도 똑같습니다.
In Korea, the person who picks up the chocolate, picks it up and says, hey, is anybody going to have this? Would never be the person who then eats it. And if everyone said no, the Korean would never say, okay, well, in that case, I will eat it. Because that would be just bad.
Right.
But in the US, we would do that. Say like, oh, no one wants it. Okay, I will have it.
This is a good subject for a lecture in
I
Social
could do
19.
that. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I think many people in the world, books are written about it. It's a very intriguing facet and feature of social life here. All right, one of the things that I think is important is that the part of nunchi, at least from an outsider's perspective, that is the reading the room aspect of things, is what all people do in social life. I mean, this social intelligence aspect is what all people are doing. But we're reading differently, right?
And in a collectivist culture, you really need lots of social intelligence. Because if you are so concerned with people around you in a more collectivist-oriented culture, you have to be really clear about who's in charge. Because you see, you're all in this together. And so it's more difficult to understand who's in charge. In an individualist-oriented culture, it's going to be much more clear, like who's in charge, what are they going to do, what are their roles, how much power do they have?
I think one thing that we do agree about is the indirectness of the way the nunchi operates compared to the directness that is really required of us in the United States.
Yeah.